All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Yes, we are. So a huge welcome to every single person out there watching this morning. It is amazing to be back with you for Schoolscape Premier 2022. We've been doing this, since 2020. So
yes, the virtual
side of it at least. So 3 years in, and we almost didn't keep virtual. We pondered it. We thought, well, we're going back to live events. We never had virtual before. And then we had this mass outcry from some of our teachers around us saying, you can't leave us behind. We're not in Cape Town, or we're not in Joburg. So we kept it, and we're loving it, and we're here with you. And so if you're not from Cape Town and Joburg, or you haven't been at Cape Town's event, it's the first time you're seeing us in 2022. Welcome. We're excited to be here. And do you want to tell us?
At the bottom on the right is a chat bar. Please say hello. And we always love knowing, can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, and where are you from? And can you see us? And let's do some teamwork here. We've become quite tech guru-ish in this time, but obviously we can't fight the ESCOM battle from our side quite as well. So if you have load shedding at any time throughout our event, you can go in afterwards into the agenda and re-watch the sessions that you missed. It's all in your agenda, in Hoover app, in one place. If you're yet to download the app, there's so much more in the app. Please download the app. And what do we have planned today?
All right. So the whole aim of this event is for schools, for us to introduce you to solutions that other schools are using. So the heart of Schoolscape is empowering you and equipping you with real solutions that work. And the best way to find a solution that works is to go to another school and to see what they're doing. So today we've got stuff on cybersecurity, we've got stuff on reading, we've got stuff on devices. It's quite a jam-packed morning. And in every case, what we're going to do is we're going to bring a school on to share their story. And then after that, we're going to bring on an industry expert so that if you want to find out how to get that in your school, you can tag with them. So please ask questions. I see Vasela, Kerwin says hello, Genevieve, Malachi, golly, it's coming through. Shay, thank you for saying we sound great. Hopefully we look good. At least Ashley looks good. So we've got a jam-packed morning. Please, there's going to be polls, there's going to be stuff, and we've got some incredible prizes. But before I get to the prizes, we're actually going to invite our first speaker on board. And once again, as I said, this is real schools sharing their solutions. So first up is the head of Amanzimtoti, and it is Louise Lemmer. So Louise, if you can come onto stage. While she's coming on stage, I think for me, a big thing is a lot of innovation, a lot of devices is around tech. And with increased tech comes increased
threats on the cybersecurity front and multiple other scenarios that go with that.
So what we really want to do is we want to start this from the beginning by just talking about how do you keep your learners, how do you keep your teachers safe when it comes to school. So Louise is going to be sharing her school's journey of what she's done. Let's check in. Louise, are you about? We're going to just check with our technical team.
If not, we'll just start giving away prizes. Oh, no, she's there. We'll keep the prizes for just now.
All right.
Hello, Louise, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see your faces.
Brilliant.
It's nice to have your face back on a Schoolscape stage. She's becoming a firm favorite and friend of Schoolscape's, Louise.
Yes.
So it's lovely. It's beautiful. Thank you.
So, Louise, we're really excited, I think, to hear your school's journey, what you did, how it came about, and also just the solutions you used and your thinking behind it. So we are going to jump off stage now, and we're going to hand across to you to share your school story. So, Louise, thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much to you as well. And it really is a privilege to share a story from my heart with everyone this morning. And so can I also then just say good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you, wherever you are and where you may be and sitting in front of your desk or at your school. And so I know in all schools, it's a busy morning. It's always busy. But it is great to spend time with you for a little while. And so as you've heard, I'm the Amanzimtoti High School principal. Amanzimtoti High School is a co-ed school on the south coast of KZN, and the school was opened in 1962, and over the years it has really evolved into the school that we have today. So we do have 950 learners at present from grade 8 to 12 and 49 educators. However, we have 75 staff members, which include our educators, our full-time sports department people, and then also our admin people, and they all rely heavily on technology, as you can imagine. So I became principal of Amanzimtoti High School in 2005, and I was ready for this challenge, and I thought I knew it all. And little did I know about the two monsters that no one and nothing ever prepared me for as a principal. Not any of my degrees or any of my many workshops that I attended, any of the courses prepared me for these two monsters. Nothing prepared me for the magnitude of maintenance of the buildings and grounds of a school that a school principal has to deal with. And just to clarify, maintenance is a never-ending task. We had huge issues with one section of our school building, which started in 2015 already. And so we contacted the department numerous times to ask them to help us to fix it, but to no avail. And so in 2021, we were informed by two engineers from two different companies that the one section of the school and the walkway were in danger of collapsing. Huge. So needless to say, we could no longer wait, and the Department of Education wasn't there to assist us. So we learned very quickly. I learned very quickly about the underpinning of the building and about harvesting of water causing the problem, and just so much more. And as you can imagine, it cost the school a small fortune. But it was worth every single cent, because you can never put the price on the safety of your learners and of your people. And in the same breath, Nothing prepared me for the potholes, the dangers, and the disasters that the management of IT could bring to my desk as a principal. Bearing in mind that my knowledge of IT is shocking, it still is. I could only survive these two headaches with the help of experts. In 2005, we introduced laptops to all our educators. The school provided the laptops, and that was just the beginning of the IT journey for Amanzimtoti High School. Some of the educators back in 2005 didn't know what to do with these things. And I'm quite convinced that they were so terrified that some of them were hiding them under their beds for a few days, hoping that it would disappear. But the school soon got to a place where technology played a very important role, and we all became more and more reliant on technology. The same educators that were hiding their laptops are now having nervous breakdowns if we have load shedding or some reason why we can't use technology. And so, yes, that's on our tables again, load shedding. We added more features and we needed better internet. But with better internet, we could again add more features. And there was a definite need for learners to use tablets and smartphones in class. We soon learned that there was a need to understand what was available and the associated risks thereof. We wanted our learners to use technology that was available to them, and we wanted them to have that as a tool to assist them with their studies. However, I don't think we quite understood the risks for learners or what was needed to make sure that learners would not end up exploring content that they should not have access to. I don't think we ever understood well enough how learners, or anyone for that matter, can be exploited through internet. And we most definitely, totally underestimated the fact that we have a few very innovative learners at our school. Innovative learners who managed to hack our system. As with businesses, there are now so many of our schools that are relying on technology, and rightly so. Technology played a huge role during lockdown time and COVID. And like many other schools, we are using Google Classroom at our school. So yes, educators and learners do need access to the internet. However, learners need protection even more. All schools should be safe zones for learners, where learners are protected, and that includes the protection from harmful technology. as well as from themselves. And I learned that some of my educators needed some protection against themselves as well, purely because of their ignorance as far as technology is concerned. And trust me, there has been one or two very red faces with unfortunate incidents that took place. The same need that existed to protect our learners from the danger of the walkway that could collapse was there to protect our learners from the danger of internet and emotional scarring of learners. And again, the right protection is not always cheap. But once again, you can't put a price on the safety of learners and your people. We have worked with Atomgate for some time, and so we knew that we could trust them when they introduced us to SonicWall for the very first time. Yeah, we were a bit shocked about the price, but it was worth it. SonicWall has the ability to grow as the school matures and the item systems evolve. Only once access to the internet could be properly managed could the next step be taken to roll out features like wireless internet to all our learners. We receive detailed traffic reporting on a regular basis. That allows us to make informed decisions and continue to build our school's future in technology. The system runs seamlessly in the background and requires very little effort from us as a school. Atomgate administers the SonicWall remotely and is immediately notified if any urgent issues that may arise. They know about the issues even before we do. The protection of our learners will always remain our top priority. It's never worth the risks of scarring learners. Damage done can never ever be taken back. And I know some of you might argue that that most young people have access at home to anything and everything. And we understand that families have different values, morals, and lifestyles. However, as a school, we have a responsibility to do all in our power to protect all our learners, and we live by the values and the morals of our school. Practice what you preach. We do not always understand all the cyber talk and the associated risks. Therefore, we trust and rely heavily on our service providers to advise us on the right solutions. There are always something new on the horizon. The technology landscape changes daily. I'm disappearing for myself, so I'm sorry, I'm back now. The technology landscape changes daily, and it's not always simple and easy to keep up with it all. Just consider the POPI Act. While POPI is not focused on IT, it does have direct impact, and it involves IT in many aspects. At Amanzimtoti High School, internet access is dynamically split between admin, educators, and learners. We have priority rules in place to ensure that the most important users have access when needed. Key users will take priority over lesser users. An example, admin above learners. When we need to pay salaries, we need to pay salaries. Educators also have more freedom to sites that are restricted to our learners. You can allow or block based on site content or applications like social media. While we don't block social media sites for our educators, we do block it for our learners. And so just to underline why SonicWall plays such an important role at Amanzimtoti High School, first of all, SonicWall protects our network, so hackers don't get in and can't get access to our data. SonicWall protects the learners from inappropriate contents, and by educators too at times. And SonicWall protects the educators and admin from accidentally going to compromised sites. And then SonicWall, above everything else, gives me peace of mind, as well as my SGB and my management team. And so thank you to SonicWall. I can sleep peacefully. And so as a principal of a school, I need to know that I have done everything humanly possible to protect the safety of my learners. Their physical well-being and their mental well-being are equally important to us. And that's why we work with SonicWall. Thank you.
Brilliant, Louise. That was absolutely amazing. I just love it how you addressed all the different areas of the school. If you could give one tip to a school, just one thing that you think, if they are in a place where they don't have cybersecurity at the moment, what would be the number one tip that you would give them?
Unfortunately, it's an expensive one that I have to put on your desk there. I have to say to you once again, SonicWall, we've looked around for a very long time to find all the solutions in the school, and it's not possible to find them all, because I have to say to daily things would change, as I've mentioned. But you've got to put a budget in there and make sure that you've got, in the end, the funds to make sure that you have your learners safe. As I've explained, I think that equally in our school, whether it's the physically well-being of our children or to the emotional scarring, is equally as great. And so they've got to have a protection. Learners need to be protected. And that is my main story with all of this. Put everything in place. Cut down on all sorts of other things. Don't buy that school bus. Go and put in something that will protect your learners from the dangers out there.
Yeah, I think, Louise, I think that's a great point. Just while we're speaking, Ashley Lawrence, if you'd like to come on stage. I think, Louise, one of the things that you said there, which really stands out to me, is that you need to budget for it. I think as a school, often you think about, you've got your fences, you've got your electric fence, you've got your padlocks, your security gates. But I think in the same way that a school thinks about its physical security, it now also needs to look at its virtual security. And I think that point of just budgeting is so important. And as you rightly said, it is going to cost. But it is something that you need to pay for. So, Louise, you've been amazing. Ashley, are you on stage? Do you want to pop in? So, as we mentioned earlier, our aim is every time a speaker from a school speaks, we want to make this really real and practical and bring on the company that supported and helped. Ashley, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you clearly.
Loud and clearly. We also want to say thank you.
Can you see me too?
Let's see. Technical people say.
Yes, the team at back there says that we can see you and we can see you clearly. A big part of this event is possible because of people like Ashley and the SonicWall team that have supported us for a few years now, good few years now. And I think what I've loved to grow to understand about cybersecurity. In the beginning, I was like, how is this accessible to any school? I sounded like a school at Price and Point and this. But I've also realized you put a practice Astro in and you start training on that. Then you put a big Astro in. Then you start playing Astro tournaments. Similar process what I've learned with cybersecurity. Start somewhere. Get something secure. Expand it out the front office. You end up in the big leagues, shall we say. But Ashley, so good to have you back on stage here. And
Thank you.
All right. Ashley, just I think, do you have, just before we let you chat for a little bit, do you have anything you wanted to ask Louise before she steps off stage?
No, just, when can we take you to the next level? We've done your perimeter firewalls. I'm sure Kevin and the team from Atomgate are going to want to look at protecting your G Suite. So there's some new bits and pieces. Maybe we should run a quick trial for a term or two, just so you can see how invaluable that solution is. I think
there we go. That sounds like free value. I just wanted to say, Caroline said such a great point here. Caroline Mark said, we agree, we feel it's a very important topic to explore. In fact, we believe to start as early as grade R to 3 in discussing the importance of safeguarding personal information and ways of dealing with safety on the internet. It is a very important discussion in coding and robotics. So that is a great point. Louise, thank you so much for just joining us on stage and preparing and sharing your school's journey. I think if any of the other schools, Louise is online, you'll be able to find her profile. So if you have any questions, please reach out to her. But thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and you can find my school's number. I'm even prepared to speak to people telephonically if that is the need. So I'm happy to do that. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Brilliant.
That's what we're all about here at Schoolscape, sharing, coming together in community and learning from one another. So we'll not speak for much longer. We'll hand over to Ashley. We've learned a great deal already from Ashley over the years, but I'm sure you have a new trick up your sleeve for us today.
All right. Ashley, we soon we're going to bring on a colleague of yours who's from Dubai. But before we did that, I think Ashley, Louise mentioned it's something you need a budget for and plan for. Do you have any tips just for schools on how to think about the cost around it? You know, do they need to come in, start small, go big? Any thoughts? I know our next speaker will also address this. And also just how can schools reach out to you if they want to get a bit of an assessment of how they're doing and to get steps moving forward? Can you share anything on that?
100%. So yes, everyone needs to kind of budget, unless of course you know, you live in a magic world where the bursar has bottomless pots of cash, unfortunately. So it's about planning, and it's about creating or scoping a solution that matches the school's requirements, and no one school is the same. All have the same threats, and everyone has the same, you know, exposure points, but the environments are different. So reach out to us. We're a 100% channel-based company. So as Louise said, she's dealing with a gentleman by the name of Kevin Meredith and his team in KwaZulu-Natal, Atomgate, and they're a gold partner of ours. We have a partner locator on our website, SonicWall.com. Partners, find a partner, any kind of, it's like Google Maps, very clever, and that'll find you a partner. So they can come and talk to you about what your requirements are. We as a vendor are available. We have a team of pre-sales, post-sales, and solution architects that are more than happy at no charge, zero charge, to come and talk to you about cybersecurity, like these events where we talk to you about cybersecurity. We can help put together some kind of bill of materials. So based on a kind of a conversation and an assessment, if you will, we can say, this is what you need, and give you some kind of indicative prices which you can put into your budget. Then you guys can start doing your procurement processes and budgeting through our partners at the stage that's convenient. But talking to us, zero risk, zero cost, and zero sales, because we don't sell directly to you guys. It's only a channel-based business. So that would be where I would start.
I think that Ashley's hit it on the head. If you're a school, I would just recommend going straight to him. He can't sell you anything, so he has to be impartial and advise and help. And then at the point that you understand what you want, then you can go to one of their resellers. And I think what's great is a lot of their resellers deal with schools. And I think this is a big thing for me. If you're going to do cybersecurity, you need to make sure that you're actually dealing with someone who's dealt with a school before. You know, unless you've had a kid, unless you've had a kid trying to hack your system, you need to know how to protect that. So Ashley and his team will be able to refer you through to the right person.
Lastly, I think before we have yes, so what I wanted to say is that if you do want to get connected with Ashley from SonicWall and their team for some kind of, they come out and do free assessments, stretch assessments, you name it, they will do it in your school, and they do it throughout the country. There's polls that are going to come up. I think there's already a poll published. Click yes on that, and all we do is then share your email address with them so that they can send you more information and just kind of start that journey of discussion with you and discovery with you.
All right. If you can't see the polls, they are on the right of your screen. If you're on full screen, top right, exit full screen, you'll see the polls and the chat. All right. I think, Ashley, it's going to be a little bit better if you introduce Mohamed as an international speaker. He's our international speaker for today. I thought it would be great if you wanted to just give him a proper intro.
Thank you very much. So just prior to introducing Mohamed, there are talking about the chat and the polls. We have two more of our team members online today. Vasella and Dylan are on manning our virtual booth. So if you can't get hold of them, just chat or connect via the app. There's a connect, share details kind of a story. Yeah, wonderful, popular act. So you do need to kind of click and accept, and then we can reach out, or one of the team will reach out and we can help you with that. But on to the main event. So Mohamed Abdallah is part of our team. He's our regional director for Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. So for my sins, he kind of overlooks what we do here. Based in Dubai, he's lived all around the world. He's Egyptian from origin, so House of Pyramids. Based in Dubai with his family, and has very glad to have him presenting today. Unfortunately, he couldn't come out to do the physical events. That's back on me, but he is here today and fit and healthy to take us through his presentation for the schools. Mohamed, over to you.
Thanks, Ashley, for the introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you loud and clear. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me this morning. Unfortunately, I was not able to do the actual physical event due to some health issue. I'm back on track. I'm very excited to be for the first time on the Schoolscape. Let's rock it. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen perfectly.
Okay, so sharing started. Okay, perfectly. So quick introduction. I'm Mohamed Abdallah, originally Egyptian, based out of Dubai. I do manage Middle East, Turkey, and Africa for SonicWall. Very quickly on who we are. So SonicWall, it's an industry veteran when it comes to cybersecurity. We have been in the market for the last 31 years with more than 500,000 of customers worldwide across our 215 countries and territory. As Ashley mentioned, we're 100% channel-based. We're spread across the globe. We have been leading when it comes to cybersecurity innovation. We have more than 300 patterns. That includes our recent ICSA certified for the 5th time in a row, our real-time deep memory inspection. On top of that, we do have our industry experts. So we're not just looking after retail or financial sector or banking or military, etc. But one of the very strong verticals we do have in our company, especially in the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa, is the education sector. Of course, being a father of 3 kids, that's one of the topics or one of the industries that I'm personally interested and driving. Moving forward, the risk reality. Okay, as we know, especially after COVID, we have been having more explosion points. So everyone is using laptop, everyone is working from home. For a certain time, our kids have been doing e-learning. So we're using more devices, more applications, more internet. And the cost of maintaining the old conventional security is going high, as well as the personnel or the team that covering this is growing as well. Saying that, on the actual headcount after resources is decreasing and the budget is decreasing as well. And that's what we call it in general within SonicWall. It's the cybersecurity gap, and specifically was accelerated because of COVID. We have now a terminology in the education industry. We call it the cybersecurity school gap or cybersecurity education gap. Okay. If we go on the journey of security, I mean, we have 5 different stages. Okay, starting from reactive to reach to the optimum or best practice, which is the boundless. If we see here in the region, I mean, I'm talking specifically on Middle East, Turkey, and Africa, most of our customers, they are between the reactive and the proactive, okay? And when we sit down with our customers and we take them through the different levels and what's covered in each level, they got shocked, okay? So I'm not protected, there's a huge risk over there. We tell them, don't worry, we're here to support, we are the expert in that domain, and let's take you step by step to reach to the best optimum security for your school, for your teachers, for your for the kids. Okay, and by doing that, one of the offerings that we do with the SonicWall is the security assessment. So we sit with our customers, we understand how their security and how their business is running, and we take them through the steps. We identify you are now in the for example, the aware stage or in the proactive stage, how we can take your hand on improving your existing security layout and how we can take you up in the stream. If we have a quick look on the first half of 2021 when it comes to the cybersecurity threats. Okay, if we take an example, the ransomware, which is a common type of attack that we're seeing hitting number one, education, number two, it's the healthcare. The first half of 2021, there was around 304 million ransomware attacks. That was by itself 151 increase from the previous year. If we check this year or the second half of 2021 with our recent threat report that was issued 1st of March, that the ransomware by itself, it's coming to 623 million. So it's more than the double, okay? And it's increased by 105% from the last time that we catch this, okay? Huge growth when it comes to the attacks. It's not, I mean, many of people know that or think that these attacks, it's going toward the government or the financial sector. Absolutely not. Number one attacks, it's hitting education and healthcare. If we talk from a region perspective or a global perspective, okay, if you recall when Ashley presented this last year, South Africa, as an example, was number 4 when it comes to the number of attacks that's happening, okay? If we check this year report, although it's moved to number 8, which is a great job that we're trying to support our customers on reducing the attacks that's happening. However, the number of attacks, it increased by around 500,000, okay? Still, it's a huge growth in terms of attacks on our education sector. Okay, where is the risk when it comes to education? I mean, we all know that technology is growing very fast and our kids are adapting to this technology. I recall when I was I have a teenager when I was her age. I didn't have a laptop, I didn't have a phone, I didn't have an internet to access, nothing. Nowadays, if I check only my daughter, she has like 4 or 5 devices that she's using either to do education classes at home, remote education, or in her school itself, okay? The more devices it's connected, the more exposure points for attackers, okay? So, and that's lead to where is the security gaps or where is the different layers that it's an entry point for any attacker. And if you can see on this chart, okay, there's multiple layers, okay, of or explosion point for attackers to enter, okay? Lots of the schools that we are talking to, and I mean, maybe because there was an incident with my daughter's school, okay, and I was part of a community within the school on giving awareness to teachers and to the students about attacks and about security and about using the social media or the internet in general, okay. When we discovered the different layers that we're having, we found they're only protecting the internet, and that's it. And they fall down on covering the rest of the different layers. And that's why we always, when we do our security assessment, the first thing is that we go layer by layer and see where is the gaps and how we can fulfill this gap, okay? At SonicWall, okay, we do have lots of products that cover all these layers, starting from the endpoint, which our students are using, up to the internet itself. Okay, so we make sure that we are not just fulfilling one layer or one domain. We look at it from a platform perspective or from a solution perspective to apply the best practice when it comes to the cybersecurity industry. If I talk quickly on a use case, and that's a common use case across all the education sector. That was a chain of school, and actually it's my daughter's school. It's a big chain of school across the region globally, where they were having, first, when they moved to e-learning, they have an issue on securing how their students can access the application in a secure method. And we run a security assessment with this specific school, or we took a pilot of one specific school, we found all the gaps that is present over there, and we start working with them on the full architecture phased approach to make sure that our students are safe, they're getting the proper education, they're not accessing anything they should not be doing, okay? At the same time, protect the data, okay?
Mohamed, sorry to
saying,
speak over you. Just so you know, you've got 1 minute left.
Yeah, promise. It's not going to take more than that. Okay.
Thank you.
And we worked with the school on building the full architecture, and we start, as I mentioned, in a phase approach to make sure that our kids are very safe. And as you can see from the screen, okay, we're covering all the points that can be a risk for our students. At the same time, we're protecting the assets for the schools, for the teachers, and for our kids. Okay. We are not new in that. I mean, this is some of the cases that we did. I mean, all of them, they are within the Africa region. So it's not new for us. It's something that we have been doing for a long time, and we have been helping lots of our education customers or school to protect our students and protect their assets. Thank you.
Perfect. So often we say 1 minute left and the person takes 10 minutes. So Mohamed, that was brilliant. Mohamed, it was just great just to see an international organization, but I was looking at some of those school names popping up. I did notice my kids' school in there, Renish Primary. So it's brilliant just to see there's such a mix of schools locally and internationally, which makes a huge difference. One simple question from my side. Just remind me, if a school has nothing in place, what would be that first step you would recommend for them?
Sorry, I mean, I didn't hear the question. I think there was noise in the background.
Oh, sorry. Kerry-Anne, if you just want to mute yourself, we can hear your background there. We've muted you. Mohamed, just one quick question. If a school didn't have anything in place for cybersecurity at the moment, what is that first step? What would be that first thing that you would tell them to put in place?
Call SonicWall. Let us do a security assessment. It's better to understand how the schools operate. I mean, let me tell you something. I talk on a daily basis with lots of schools in the education sector. I mean, the whole concept is the same, but the structure of the school is different. We have standalone school, we have district schools, we have schools that they have their application on-prem, others on the cloud. Some of them, they allow bring your own device for the kids, others not. So it's better to understand how they're operating, how their infrastructure looks like. Okay, we have industry experts that can help them with the best architecture and best approach. And we always recommend is that we take it in a phased place to see the most critical entry point, and we immediately close these gaps. Then we take on enhance their security layout.
Brilliant. Mohamed, thank you. You've been amazing. I think it's so simple. If you're a school out there, pop into the poll, just say happy for us to share details with Ashley. He'll contact you and do a threat report. They'll be able to come in and get a macro view of what's happening and do it for you. Sadly, we have to move on, but Mohamed, thank you. Once again, we love SonicWall, not only because you support our events, but you also keep our kids and you personally keep my kids' school safe. And it's been great. So thank you so much, Mohamed. Thank you, Ashley. We'll pull Ashley Lawrence on stage again later at another point. But now we're going to change track. We're going from cybersecurity, and now we're going to jump into learning and reading specifically. So we're going to invite Kerry-Anne on stage. So Kerry-Anne is an English teacher. She's from Curro, Brackenfell. She is in load shedding, so she's been amazing, and she's dropped off down to the local VDE. So Kerry-Anne, if you don't have a coffee, please buy one. It is on us. Let's unmute you if you want to unmute. And let's check.
Can you hear me?
All right, we can hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, this one might be a little bit noisy in the background, but we're going to roll with it because we're South Africans.
If we've learned anything in the last 2 years ongoing is we can roll with it. So, Kerry, thank you for going down to the local VDE and still making time to share with us this morning. We're excited about what you have to say.
All right, so Kerry-Anne, we're going to hand over to you. The floor is yours. We're really excited to hear how you've, as a teacher within a school, how you've used solutions, how you use technology, how you've used learning to really push and do stuff that I think would have never been possible before when it comes to reading. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity. I really hope that I can assist my peers in any way today. I'm not going to apologize for the noise in the background because that's their awesome spirit. And they've really saved me today with a real challenge that we experience, which is load shedding. So thank you that I can be here today. I think one of the first things is obviously teachers have their traditional approach to assessing the learners with their reading. And we still use that one-on-one traditional approach where we test the learners. But now we've also adopted using Literacy Pro, which is an online reading program, and it offers an amazing variety of tools to us as teachers. So basically, we've started with this because we've always believed that reading is important. Obviously, all of us teachers know that it's the golden thread through all the faculties, even mathematics. And we just decided we were going to take a deliberate approach to reading success. So it's now become a culture in our school, and reading is in every corner of our school. And
sorry, I just realized I actually have questions for you. So I was putting you on the floor. But you're doing fantastic. Sorry, load shedding and now the host is messing you around. So everyone, my apologies. So the first question we should have asked is, what did your school use for literacy in the past? And why were you looking for a change? So Kerry-Anne, we can go back onto script, but thanks for covering us there. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So as I was saying, we still use the traditional approach of one-on-one testing. For example, we use Holborn and we use the leveled readers to as a resource for our learners to read. But basically, our management has just made it a goal to take a deliberate approach to reading success. And that's where the change came about.
Cool. I think that's great. So you mentioned that change. Maybe if you want to break down what was that change, and also just the steps of how you made that change actually happen.
Okay, so
all right. I think we might have lost Kerry-Anne, or was it just me?
Like that was this big anticipated moment, and I think that she has paused. I'm sure we'll get her back in a second. Well, Kerry-Anne, shall I drop the bomb of what Kerry-Anne was going to be saying?
Well, you know what we can do? We can invite Stephen on stage. So Kerry-Anne was going to be able to talk. What we're going to do is ask our technical team to see if they can find Kerry-Anne at that Vida. Dan confirming we all good on our side. Yeah. All right. Stephen, if you are there, we're going to invite you on stage. Maybe you can just share a little bit about the solution she was using just to give Stephen some context.
Yeah.
And then once again, at Schoolscape, we roll with technical difficulties because this is virtual. We know all of you teachers are way more used to this than us over the last 2 years.
Awesome. Okay. So Stephen, welcome. Stephen is actually from Snapplify, not Snapplify. So we are on the fly here. So Snapplify is one of our utmost favorite companies, I think, that we get to work with. And I say get to because it's a real privilege to work with a company that we've seen take on digital literacy and expand through the schools in South Africa. And every year we have a discussion on what's new, where they're going, how they're focusing, and it's a layer upon layer of innovation and study and research that's gone into developing these projects and these products for schools. So I have loved Snapplify's journey. And
can I interject? The other cool thing, and I think we love it when teachers speak, because it just brings an authenticity in it. And I think that's where Snapplify has been amazing, is they've gone and they've recruited teachers. So Jean from Ornies Online, a former teacher, he's joined the team. But Stephen is actually a former English teacher, and he is passionate, you know, about English, about developing, and I think that's why he's lined up with Snapplify. So as much as he is coming from a Snapplify point of view, his true passion and heart, I think, has always been teaching. So I think, Stephen, obviously, Kerry-Anne, we wanted her to get in and to share and to show what has happened in the school. Maybe you could jump in and just share a little bit about what you did with the school, how it happened, and also just how you can help other schools.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, guys. It's always good to be here. And now I'm really looking forward to Kerry-Anne's presentation. I hope we can get her on, because I've heard her story and it's really exciting. But yeah, I think from our side, you know, a lot of teachers know Snapplify from a textbook point of view, and aren't necessarily aware that we offer a wider platform of resources and tools to really assist and grow different elements of the curriculum at school. And you know, as you mentioned, Pete, my passion really does lie with reading as an ex-English teacher, and also with my own kids. And we know that, as Kerry-Anne mentioned also, that reading is that golden thread that goes through all the curriculum subjects that we look at. You know, we just can't expect our learners to perform academically if they are not reading with understanding. And that's really where Literacy Pro comes in. It is a Scholastic product that has been integrated into the Snapplify platform. And I think from an English teacher's perspective, I think one of the real strengths of it is the convenience. When I was teaching not too long ago, but you know, our individualized reading assessment was just really laborious. I mean, it would take me a week to get through my whole class, and made it really difficult to be able to integrate reading assessment into the culture of the school and to be able to grow it into the really into the culture of the school. So what Literacy Pro does, it assesses the learner's reading level, and then aligns that reading level with their text in book, whatever genre it is, and creates a recommended reading list that then the learner has access to the Snapplify e-library, and those library books are available 24/7. So it's all about breaking down barriers and also making it as easy as possible for reluctant readers to have access to exactly the right reading material. So once a child has got their reading list and they've got their book, they can read it anywhere. The e-library is fully automated. And then once they've read their book, they will do a quick quiz. And there's over 80,000 quizzes for books in the library. And this is really, for me, the secret weapon, is that it's very difficult as an English teacher to be able to determine whether a child really has read and understood the book that they claim to have read. And, you know, I used book reports, but, you know, those weren't really effective. Often they would come back with the URL of the website that the child had downloaded it from, still printed on the book report. So for the only really accurate way is to actually test the child on that book by asking them questions about the content. And that's exactly what Literacy Pro does. And once the child has got these, has completed the quiz, they get points. And it's through using these points that it is possible then to gamify and incentivize reading on a whole school level. So some of our schools have introduced reading awards from term to term for the most books read per term or most books read over the year per grade, reading races, and you know, to close the loop, it also includes the parent portal that allows the parents to then engage with the reading journey of their child too, because a lot of the parents that we work with aren't necessarily readers themselves. I see Kerry-Anne's joined us again.
We found her. I heard she had to go get a little coffee. You know, she was just a bit
understandable.
Stephen, are you all right if I just keep asking Kerry-Anne a couple of
go for it, please.
Questions?
She's far more qualified to talk about it than I am.
All right, Kerry-Anne, welcome back. We were nervous that the coffee was not that good and you were upset with us, but it's good to see you. All right, so maybe Stephen was just giving us a little bit about the program that you've used. Maybe if you could explain as a teacher your experience of using the solution, and maybe if you could just quickly give an overview of what the solution is and how you've used it as a teacher.
Okay, so I think, you know, with anything, there's challenges, but it's obviously also very exciting to work with the program and part of it. I obviously feel privileged to, you know, have these tools at my disposal because it means that I don't have to read every single book that my children are reading in the class to be able to assess them. And it creates this competition and excitement between the children when they are passing quizzes. And we basically have a reader leaderboard up on the wall, and they're very excited to pass the quizzes and read. And you know, it's such a nice thing to have that element in your class as a language teacher. I mean, it's music to your ears to hear that your child's read another book and read another book. And the cycle just continues because they inspire each other, you know, to keep reading. And that's awesome. So having access to this program as a teacher is also great because I can now track their progress. And with any click of a button, I can check where they are. And obviously that's really important to be able to track their progress and to be able to speak to the parents about that and have an objective way of assessing them, because essentially I'm not actually involved in the assessment. You know, they've taken work out of it for us by having a program that objectively assesses the learner's ability and level. And I think one of the other challenges is that in grade 5, the grade that I teach, the first year that they have their own devices. So there's obviously quite a bit of computer literacy that we need to get through for them to be able to navigate these applications. But at the same time, that computer literacy is good for them. So yeah, there's pros and cons. And yes, I've spoken about the excitement and the competition between the learners. And as Stephen was saying, getting that parents involvement again with the learners reading is so important. And I think so involved with the children when they're in foundation phase, but they tend to leave the children once they get senior and intermediate. And now I get that feedback again. You know, I have that involvement with the parents again and the learners. And obviously there's integration between all our departments, the IT department, language, the leadership in the school. So it really is a great collaboration between us all to get the reading success in our school.
Kerry-Anne, so I just want to make sure I understand this one correctly. When I was a kid at school, the teacher used to ask us to read out of a book, and we used to read a page, and that's how the teacher had to try work out if we were reading and if we were coping or not. So can I confirm that you now have a piece of technology that works in the class that allows you to immediately see how the kids are doing? And am I correct in then saying that the system actually starts saying, like, this is this person's level of reading, this is what they should be reading? Is that correct?
So basically, there's various aspects to it, but the one aspect is that it assesses the learner's reading comprehension, but then there's also quizzes on the books, individual books that the children read. So I think we have access to over 70,000 quizzes. So all the awesome books that the children read, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, they're also into it, and they get to do a quiz on a book after they've read it. And obviously that's great for me, because now I know whether they truly understood what they read, but they're still having fun.
That is absolutely amazing. So I think the biggest thing for me, and the most important question is, are you seeing, can you clearly pre this technology and post the technology, can you see it's made a difference? Because I think that's the big thing with any new solution or new bit of innovation is the proof is in the pudding, in the results. Are you seeing the results, and what are those results like?
Yes, definitely. I mean, and I also get the feedback from the learners. As I say, they send me messages on Teams and say, teacher, I've read another book, and they can't fake it. They have to be able to pass the quiz. So I can definitely see the results. I can definitely see that when they're finished with their work or a task, they pick up their books and they want to read. That is the culture that we are promoting in our school and in our classrooms. And yeah, it starts to happen by itself because we are consistently driving the reading program every day.
All right, so it's to me, what I love is like our event Schoolscape is all about solutions that work, that can move your school forward. And I believe there's so much in technology that can help, but often we just look at that technology being a device or this or that, which is incredibly important. But I think what you're showing us is a real practical example of a piece of software that enables you as a teacher to be more effective in your teaching. So suddenly it's like an empowering tool. So I suppose my last question, before you get back to that coffee, Kerry-Anne, is if a school is looking to improve literacy, what would your recommendation be? Where would you advise they start? Maybe you could also just talk through how you started.
Well, I think it starts with the leadership in your school. You need to have support from your organization. I've been very lucky and very privileged to have that support. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It's also about understanding. You know, you can't, Rome wasn't built in a day. I can already see that we've made progress on what we did in the program last year. And obviously, you know, that patience and understanding from your leadership is important too. And then it comes to your teacher team and their attitude. You know, as I was saying earlier, we don't have any special abilities. It's about your attitude and driving the program, being consistent and creating that culture. And it starts from foundation phase. So already there, they've created that love for reading and built up those that language acquisition and all those skills that the children need. So it doesn't start with me necessarily. It's actually the whole team and organization that needs to be on board.
Brilliant. I think, Kerry-Anne, and I think that's a common theme for us is I think there's a lot of schools that are looking to embrace new technology, new ideas. And I think that's what the show is about. It's for the full school to be able to see the solutions. And I think that's it. They need to try. So, Kerry-Anne, I'm going to jump across to Stephen because we've got a couple of minutes left. I think, Stephen, you are halfway through sharing. I think the most important thing would be if you could just kind of give us an overview of if a school is going, yes, I want this technology. Yes, you know, we want to improve reading. How do they go about it? What is the starting point for them?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I think, yeah, firstly, I just want to say, you know, listening to Kerry-Anne talk about it, it just makes me excited. I think there are so many challenges that we face in academics to grow our learners' performance. And, you know, we're under pressure from the department, we're under pressure from parents, and to hear that children are reading. And we all know that that is absolutely key to academic performance. So that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, from our side, you know, to get started is just to get in touch. I hope Kerry-Anne would agree that the support has been there for her from our side. You know, we understand that not all schools are, you know, technologically advanced or mature, and we really do want to kind of meet schools wherever they're at. So the first step would really just to be in touch, and, you know, we'll set up a call or a meeting, and, you know, we can take it from there just to understand what your specific needs are. But, you know, from an English teacher's perspective, I might be a little bit biased. I mean, I think growing reading comprehension at your school has to be one of the top priorities in any school. And we see that from primary school all the way to high school, and then even further on into higher education. So yeah, that would be a good place to start. Get in touch. And I think there's a poll today, I believe.
Yes. So there's a poll on the right. So on your screen, if you look on the right on the chat, there's a poll. If you enter a poll, what we want to do is we want to make it super simple for you to explore lots of things and ideas, but then be able to get people to contact you. So if you go onto that poll, you can either click yes or no. What it essentially means is the team from Snapplify can connect with you and share information. So I think if you want to go onto that poll and you can say, yes, I would like Stephen to connect with me, then what Stephen will do is set up a meeting with you. He'll be able to discuss your needs, find out what you need, and see how this could work for you. And I think, Stephen, you mentioned you're excited. It's just like, I have a passion for reading, and I think most schools do. And I think there's just finally a bit of technology that can actually enable and help reading, which I think is phenomenal and amazing. I know Snapplify has a way broader solution, which you can also find out about. But I think this is where technology really works, and just seeing also different providers coming together, because I know this is a partnership with Scholastic and other things, so where they're working together to actually improve education. So Stephen, well done. Please enter the poll. You can also jump onto their booth. They have an exhibitor booth, so don't click on it now, but on the left, if you click on it now, you're going to disappear. But on the left, there's an exhibitor tab. If you go there, you can find Snapplify. You can ask them some questions. All right, Stephen, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Any closing comments?
No, I think just take action. Let me know if we can get in touch, and looking forward to hearing from you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stephen. All right. So we have done cybersecurity. We have done learning. This is a bit of a wild west. What we have installed today is the education lead from Curro, who I'm going to ask to come on stage now. We also have someone from Roedean that's going to be presenting. So we're going to dive into Microsoft now, and then after that, we're going to dive into interactive tech. But before we get there, we've got some prizes up for grabs. So I said whoever asked a cool question or made a cool point would win a headset. So Genevieve Hardy said, we can educate our learners about cybersecurity, but how do you educate the parents on cybersecurity as well? And I think that is a fantastic question. Sadly, we can't answer it now, but Genevieve, you have won headset from Parrot. So I know Parrot will jump a bit onto stage later, but you've just won that headset. So well done on that. If you comment or chat, there we've got some more prizes to give away. So we've got a party pack, Not sure what that is, but it sounds wild. We've got a senior chef, so all the spices and stuff gift pack. We've got a book license, and then it's like I need to lift my feet up, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this without falling over. I don't know if this is going to show, but I think you can just see them. I'm going to have to take my shoe off. We actually have a pair of branded Volkskunde. So you can get your school's logo onto a pair of authentic Volkskunde that are worn by Ashton Kutcher, and I think some of the Royals have them. But Volkskunde is actually now providing school shoes. But to get their name out there, they're going to give away a pair of branded Volkskunde. So to get that, you just have to jump onto our social media. We'll share some links at the end where if you just follow us, you stand a chance. And after Angela speaks, I'll actually take my shoe off so you can see it. All right, but that's enough from me. Next is Angela. So Angela, I'm going to invite you on stage. And I think, so Angela is the information technology lead at Curro. So this is a phenomenally big, exciting job, just thinking about the amounts of Curros that are out there. And Angela is incredibly passionate about quite a few things, and I think using the full potential of technology. So she's going to share her story on Microsoft, and then afterwards we're going to bring on the education lead from Acer just to share about the new version of Windows. So Angela, I'm super excited. I know you mentioned you're also going to share a little bit on esports, so that's also perked my interest. So I'm going to hand over to you, and thank you for joining us on stage.
Great, thank you, and good morning, everybody. It's really nice to see some familiar names out there in the attendee list, so it's great to be here. Just a slight correction, I'm the Digital Transformation Manager at Curro, and I believe that I've got one of the best and most exciting jobs because I'm involved in what I think is really probably one of the most important things in terms of introducing technology, and I think that's the professional development and the change management. And what is exciting about our role and our team is that we are also sort of an incubation space when we want to test and pilot new spaces or new technologies, new approaches. That's really what our team is responsible for, helping a whole variety of our schools, departments, leverage technology to be more efficient. So I'm lucky in that I love my job. I'm really passionate about what technology can do for education. So I think Annika I can't actually see the presentation, but I'm just going to carry on anyway, and I think Annika is going to share it.
Yes, and sharing
there we go.
at the moment, the slide is up. Perfect. Just tell us when you want to change slides. We can see unlocking the power of Microsoft in education is showing at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I've been asked to talk a little bit about Microsoft. So I am going to focus on Microsoft, but what I will say is we've got lots of different solutions that we use. But I'm going to, my presentation today is probably slightly more technical than I'd actually normally do. I'd normally sort of talk a little bit more about learning. So I'm going to be focused on Microsoft technology tools today. So just a quick overview on Curro. I think maybe, most of you are probably aware of Curro, but we've got, Annika, maybe next slide, please. We've got 77 campuses. Normally those campuses have got a castle, a nursery school, a primary school, and a high school. We've got about 70,000 staff. We've students at least. We've got about 6,000 staff. So we've really got a massive network of both infrastructure and people that we've got to support. So it's really important for us that we get the technology and our approaches right so that we can achieve our ultimate goal, which is providing a quality education for our future leaders, which is essentially all of the learners across our schools. So if we can pop over to the next slide, please. So I'm going to focus on 4 areas today. And I like to kind of think about education and, in fact, in particular, the technology that enables education as a puzzle. I think there are many different pieces of this puzzle to enable transformation using technology that are important. And often if we are missing a piece of that puzzle, the puzzle doesn't quite look right. And I think the same is true. We've really got to make sure with using technology that we've got everything right, that we haven't forgotten about a key component. And previous speakers have spoken about security and things like that. It's really critical. So I'm going to touch on these 4 areas today. Next slide, please. But what I will say is that there are many other pieces of the puzzle that I'm not going to be able to touch on today in the brief time that I've got. So I'm going to just look at how is it that we future-proof our infrastructure and how we approach education so that we can actually scale transformation, so that we can scale good, solid teaching and learning approaches. Next slide, please, Annika. So the first one is probably the most technical slide, so my apologies, it will get less technical. But the first is infrastructure, security, and policies. And these are really, really core. So the first thing that we aim to do is have a cloud-first approach. So really what that means is that we're trying to move all of our data into the cloud. So move away from on-premise services and put everything in the cloud. And I think as we see connectivity being more affordable, more accessible, it's easier to do this. And the advantages of having everything in the cloud is that it means we're able to better manage everything. We can manage things centrally. Curro is a centrally managed system. So we need to be able to access all of these things from wherever we are. We don't need to be in the school server room to actually make a change. So I think that's key. I think anybody that's been offering online or hybrid or remote learning will know how important the collaboration is, working on documents in the cloud. So I think that goes without saying. And so primary sort of tools that I suppose enable our teachers and our staff are things like OneDrive for Business as part of the Microsoft 365 suite and SharePoint. So those are key tools that we use within the Microsoft suite for that. The second thing that is really critical for us is single sign-on, and Stephen spoke a little bit earlier from Snapplify, so he'll know well about single sign-on. We use Microsoft credentials, so Microsoft 365 email address essentially, as our Curro email address and password. And we use those set of credentials for all systems or platforms or tools that we make available across all Curro schools. So whether it's the school administration system, whether it's other platforms like a Snapplify, an ITSI, any other education tools that we've got. And there are two primary reasons. The first is that it makes it much easier because we all only need to remember one email address and one password. It's just easier. And secondly, it's really important that we manage our data, that we're compliant with POPI regulations, and that we're keeping everybody secure. So having single sign-on using Microsoft 365 really helps us to better manage that. The next thing is staff and learner device onboarding. So we use Azure Active Directory and services that sit in Azure. So things like Intune, which is really a mobile device management tool. And this helps us to do sort of two primary things with the devices. So the first is compliance. And we make sure that all the right security protocols, policies, any patches to sort of fix software, we can manage that again centrally. Using things like Azure and Intune, also for device configuration to make sure that our devices, staff and learners can connect to the network, that our email profiles are set up, that we can install software. So once we've decided on tools we want to use, we can actually push that software to the devices, to our staff and learner devices. So again, that just helps us to better manage all of the devices that we onboard onto our network. The last thing on this is just multi-factor authentication. Previous speakers have spoken about security. Along with providing quality education, this is our #1 priority, in equally to quality education. I think in South Africa, we are, there are many hacks, cyber hacks. It's so important that we are secure from a cyber perspective. And multi-factor authentication is just a way of really protecting all of our users as well as our data. So the minute we log on, we know that we are safe. So multi-factor authentication basically provides a second process to authenticate. So the first would be your password as you ordinarily do, and the second is an approval that you need to do on your phone. So we don't need to do it all the time, but every 2 weeks, we've just got to re-authenticate to make sure that we're safe. I'm not going to touch on networks and stuff because that's a whole presentation on its own, but we really make sure that our networks, our firewalls, again, we've got the right processes and regulations in place to keep everybody safe. Next slide, please, Annika. Next is devices. So again, these are tools, enablers to help us do all the exciting things we want to do in the classroom, and have our learners actually get the best possible learning experience. We have made a decision, as we have with Microsoft generally, standardizing on a Microsoft platform. We've standardized on Windows as a device platform as well. So all of our staff have got Windows devices. We also recommend our learners purchase Windows devices. And we set a recommended minimum spec that is quite high, because we want to make sure that the devices are future-proofed, that they're able to use them for a good period of time, but also that their experience using the device is a good one if they're multitasking. So if they may be using Teams, using Minecraft, and a third window, they've got a good learning experience with devices. We do also allow other devices, but we've standardized on Microsoft for the most part. And the reason we do that is because we're then better able to provide support, both the training and the technical support, if we've got one standardized platform. Glenn's going to talk more about Windows 11, so I'm not going to touch too much about that, but we're currently preparing for a Windows 11 rollout, and we're excited to see, I think in particular, how we can leverage all of the built-in functionality, again, to keep our staff and learners safe. Next slide, please, Annika. Then platforms and programs. So again, we standardize on Microsoft, and this is really wonderful considering how many schools and teachers we've got. And it means that using things like Teams or OneDrive, SharePoint, all of those sorts of things, we're able to collaborate across and between all of our schools. So from a productivity perspective, teachers collaborating on resources and ideas, it's really been very powerful. We've got professional learning communities on Teams. We also do all of our administration, and when we had lockdown, remote teaching and learning, and now with our online schools, we use Teams for all of our live synchronous teaching and learning. Another key product within the Microsoft suite is Minecraft. So we use this a lot for teaching and learning, but I think what's been really exciting the last few years is we've leveraged Microsoft to offer Minecraft esports using the platforms that Microsoft have created. I don't have too much time to talk too much about that today, but I think, you know, we piloted it 2 years ago, and we've now kind of launched both a Minecraft and, in fact, just other esports leagues across all of our schools. And we're really excited about what esports and game-based learning can offer all of our learners across Curro, because it's not just about playing games. There are a whole variety of skills that one can develop through esports. We've got lots of other supplementary learning and assessment applications, all sorts of things. You heard from Kerry. She spoke about Snapplify. We use Moodle for some of our online schools, that sort of thing, Sentry, all sorts of other things. But I think, again, what's key is we make sure that we use SSO, single sign-on, to ensure that whatever tools we're making available, we're making it easy for teachers to use, and we're keeping everybody safe. I'm not going to touch on Dynamics, but we also use Microsoft Dynamics. A key thing for us is data and artificial intelligence. We're doing quite a lot of exploration in this area with some solutions, but also pulling data from all of the different tools we've got available to us and understanding behavior so that we can actually better make decisions to enhance the whole experience. So we use things like Power BI to help us with that. And then lastly, the change management and support. So this is ordinarily what I'd actually focus on, and I'm really going to touch briefly on it today. But I think what is key is having that culture of innovation within our schools. Kerry spoke about needing support from leadership. It really is important. It's important that there's a culture of innovation across a school so that there is a space to try new concepts, but sensibly and carefully, because we are working with learners and we need to look after their education. Communication, I think this is absolutely critical. We've created a lovely SharePoint site for an intranet space called Curro Connect. We call it Curro Connect, and we make the space available for all of our staff. And this is where they would go and find news, they'd find resources, all of our training schedules, anything that you might need as a staff member, curriculum materials, you can find on our intranet site. Continuous professional development, and I think ensuring that there is a culture of lifelong learning, knowing that we need to all keep learning. There are always new approaches, new technologies. How do we learn about these and take the best of those so that we can implement them? We do a lot of the training and professional development internally. Having said that, there are lots of great external platforms. And again, from a Microsoft perspective, we use the Microsoft Learn platform and the Educator Center within that a huge amount. There's some wonderful training materials on that site. And I think lastly, just around support, obviously the technical support is a really important piece of the puzzle that we focus on. So I think before we hand over to Glenn, the way that we see our engagement with our service providers, so one obviously being Microsoft, which I was asked to share a little bit about today, is not just a transactional engagement, but really about developing a partnership, so that it's not just about getting a service from your service provider and paying for that, but working together to really solve problems, see what more can be done, and explore further. So we really try and establish partnerships as our way forward. And I think we're really excited to have built a partnership with Acer, who are working with us to build our Curro esports program. And I think, again, it's not just about the devices that Acer can provide for esports, but really their expertise, experience, their partners that they've got on board. The device is just one of the enabling pieces of the puzzle. So we're really excited about this partnership with esports. I think we'll probably need another time for me to share more about that. And I think just to finish off some key learnings, there are many, but just sort of some key things from my side. I think it's really important that you're clear on what you're trying to achieve. There's so many tools and systems and solutions out there. It's important to make sure that what you choose is actually helping you to achieve your goals and your vision. Like I said before, it's important to collaborate with really smart service providers and create the partnerships rather than just transactional experiences, which is what we try to do. That creating a culture for change, making sure people understand purpose, that there's a sense of curiosity, engagement, communication, and continuous learning. And I think lastly, ending on probably, like I said before, one of the most important notes, do not underestimate the importance of security and POPI and all of those sorts of things. A lot of that functionality can be pulled to manage it from what you've already got, your devices and some of the software that you might have available to you. So thank you so much. Sorry, that was a whirlwind of information.
No, that was amazing.
In a very short space of time.
Angela, that was amazing. I think, my content guys, Dan, can you invite Glenn on stage? But Angela, I think two standout points for me is, one is it's something that management needs to look at. That kind of innovation needs to come from the top down and needs to be embraced. And I think with that comes the ability to try things and to do things. So that was one thing that really, really stood out for me. And then the other thing that stood out for me is, like, Microsoft is this way bigger product than I'd ever thought. And I'm seeing, like, Charles said, "Hi, Angela, where can I get more info on the topics that you're discussing right now? This is something I've been interested in for quite some time." And then we've got Malachi. "Does anyone have advice who might be reliable Microsoft resellers?" So, Angela, I don't know, maybe Glenn can answer these, but where would you recommend as a starting point if someone wants to embrace Microsoft fully?
So I think it's probably best to speak to some of the Microsoft team. They've got a really helpful group of people, but Microsoft works with partners. So they've got a group of partners that they assess and make sure they sort of know what they're doing. So I think it's really a good idea to find a trusted partner, not just service provider partner, that you can work with to implement this whole range of technologies. I think the other thing is, different partners specialize in different things. Microsoft has got an enormous bouquet of tools. So you may need to end up working with a few different partners to sort of pull everything together. So, but I think probably the best start is Microsoft, maybe Acer, maybe Glenn can also touch on that.
Cool. Angela, sadly, we have to drop you off. I think I've got 100 questions and some of the stuff you were mentioning, I just wanted to unpack and ask. But it's just amazing to see just your vision and how you're going about it and just that big level thinking. It's absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for being on stage with us. Thank you for just sharing a bit more about what your school's doing. And I think that's the thing I also love about education is schools and tech people are so just willing to share. So thank you. We just really appreciate your heart.
No problem. Great to be here.
Awesome. So up next, we're going to have Acer's education lead, Glenn. We've been having some discussions and his level for education. I'm not sure where it comes from. It might be my first question to you before you breeze through. But yeah, Glenn's depth of understanding and passion for education really is quite something. It's been a pleasure to get to know him and understand where Acer and Microsoft in partnership are going in education a little bit. But yeah, Glenn, welcome to virtual Schoolscape stage. We had him at our physical event in Cape Town last week. He'll be in Joburg on Friday as well. So if you like what Glenn has to say today, you can actually grab him in person by joining the Friday event in Joburg. But Glenn, welcome to all our virtual event, and we're very excited to hear what, from an Acer perspective, I think you guys are some of the closest workings and with Microsoft. Yeah, what you have to say about Microsoft 11 SE. I had to get a tutorial on what that stood for. I now know, but I'll let you tell everyone else. Maybe I'm the only dork in the room that didn't work that out themselves. But welcome.
Hi, thanks so much, man. Thanks for having us. And you ask where you get the passion from. I've got 4 kids and a wife who's a school teacher. So we've lived this, and I think that there's a combination of having that educator in the house and a technologist in the house that you kind of map and say, hey, where are these things falling short? And it was really insightful having the chat and talking and listening to what Angela had to say in terms of the power of Microsoft and what they're using Microsoft for. Acer for Education. Acer's been around for many, many years, and one of our key principles is around education and about enhancing the education within the global market, and that COVID's obviously accelerated some of that take-up, and it's been an interesting journey, and one of the biggest journeys that we've been able to observe is exactly what Microsoft has done over the last couple of months, and the platform, and that's what we want to chat to you guys about today. And we'll take a few questions maybe afterwards with regards to resellers and the next steps, because this is something that was quite important to navigate. I'm going to share my screen in the meantime while Pete's waving at somebody in the background.
Yeah, I'm telling them to. Glenn, your slide is showing perfectly. The floor is yours. I was telling the guys to take me off stage so that you could get down and get going. So over to you.
Okay, fantastic, man. Yeah, so one of the things that we've picked up in the recent times is there's a lot of schools, and this is a global phenomenon. I think sometimes we think that in South Africa we live in a little microcosm and we're only dealing with these complexities. And if that was the case, I don't think Windows or Microsoft would have come out with such a compelling solution for the education sector. And as the transition into COVID started taking place, I think a lot of schools went and said, listen, let's just give everybody on a device. It doesn't matter what it is. And now we're starting to shift into that decision-making process, which it says, which one am I going to choose? What platform am I going to go to, etc. And today we're going to talk about Windows 11 SE. And Windows 11 SE, for those of you who don't know, stands for Windows Student Edition or Special Education Edition. It all depends on what blog you read. I think it's Special Education Division is what Microsoft Education Edition is what Microsoft has termed it. And essentially what it is that Microsoft's latest platform, which is Windows 11, is based as a solution, a platform, a platform that is geared towards more cloud services and a more on-the-go solution. So unlike Windows 10, Windows 11 as a total platform is much lighter, easier to use, and less intensive on a computer, and it really is moving in there. Windows 11 SE, the Education Edition, has a couple of differences, and this is what we want to talk about today. Now, Windows 11 SE is aimed particularly at sort of your grade 1 or your kindergarten, kindergarten all the way up to grade 8, so K to 8. And in some schools, in some environments where the schools are not adopting specialist environments such as CAT and things like that, you could potentially use it all the way up until grade 12. Now, what it does is it essentially creates an environment similar to what Angela was talking, or exactly what Angela was talking about earlier, whereby the school can control and actually have a full insight into the platform and what is going on the student devices. So unlike many of the other, unlike some of the solutions, particularly in a Windows 10 environment, the easy to deployment comes with pin to start. So all your platforms, all your Word, your Teams, your Edge, and even Minecraft is already preloaded onto the device. The other thing that it has is really a nice option there is that it's got the pop-up where if you have a look, you're able to actually within the classes push down the content specifically to that device within that environment. So if we sort of have a look at some of the things in and around the benefits around Windows 11 SE, you're able to engage with the learner from an administration level. There's your pop-up screen. You can go to your Word and immediately you have the engagement and the full functionality of Windows 11. You have the ability to push down the assignments directly to the class, easy integration into your Word and your PowerPoint, etc., whatever's being used. And because it's a cloud-linked device and a cloud-linked solution, everything can be automatically uploaded to the OneDrive as soon as you connect to connect to a service. So it's a cloud sync solution, and the benefit of cloud sync means that your device doesn't have to be as heavy as it would have been in the past. A couple of the other things that came out, there was a question in the previous session around how do we help to educate parents. Well, Windows 11 SE, for example, takes care of some of that and some of the burden away from the parents, because through using Windows 11 SE and creating that, what we refer to as a technology ecosystem. In other words, it's a self-contained technology platform. All your security can be pushed down directly to the devices. And because you've got single access for the learners and the learners are accessing the device, you can't load outside software onto it. So now you have a situation where you have the benefit of allowing the learner to utilize the Microsoft information and the school education platform and what the school is pushing down, but they cannot go and load software that hasn't been authorized by the administrator and like that. In a Windows, in a previous environment and some of the other platforms, you simply log out of your account and you can go and log into a different account and then you can download what you want. With the Windows 11 SE, it's far more controlled, giving that security to the younger classes and the younger generation and the younger learners. You need Azure Directory Services, which is exactly what Angela was saying. You have to have that management from an administration point of view. But again, the benefit of that means that you have the full control of your learning platform and everything that goes into it. Acer has devices, and our devices that we focus on in this particular environment, with Windows 11 SE, we've gone for a device which is an 11.6 inch, so it fits nicely into a learner's backpack. It's not going to be too onerous and heavy to carry around. And the ability to be able to utilize that device anywhere that you want makes it quite a nice solution in and around it. It's got mechanically anchored keyboards. It helps you learn better together because you're not worried about connectivity. The standards are set quite high. You've got multiple learning modes, and it comes with the Windows 11 and Windows 11 SE is available for schools who wish to participate in a Windows 11 SE solution. So what we've done is we've taken the Windows 11 SE platform and we've put that on a specific device that is geared specifically for the education market. The device it's ruggedized, so you don't have to worry about it dropping. It has multiple functionalities in terms of your water resistance, and of course it's got the right power. What makes the device more affordable in a Windows 11 SE is because the operating system is much lighter. And again, when we talk about much lighter, it means it doesn't require as much storage, it doesn't require as much processing power as a heavy system. What it does then allow you to do is it brings the cost down. So the average start here, Windows 11 SE can run comfortably on a 4 gig 64 Celeron type of processor, giving you that affordability without having to spend money and get your parents to to lay out extra cash to try and get the device to match your platform. What I do need to just point out so that everybody is aware, whoops, we missed that slide there. Let me just, that's what happens when we go a little bit too fast on this here. You need to ask yourself the question, if you're a school who is now at that crossroads where you're deciding which route you're going to go, are we going to go in a Microsoft route or one of the other routes? You know, if we're going to go Microsoft route, what do we actually have as an expectation out of our platform? Are we expecting to just push down reading material and assignments and just use Teams and really not get involved in the digital transformation to the level that, for example, what Angela was giving us on the Curro side? Then perhaps Windows 11 SE is not for you. But if you're a school that wants to take control of your teaching platform and your ecosystem and your technology, then Windows 11 SE is definitely a platform that you need to consider. You need to make sure that you've got Azure Directory Services. You need to make sure that you're using Intune, Microsoft Intune, so that you can control. And you need to also ensure that if you're using external applications, that they are available on Windows 11 SE, on the Windows 11 SE platform as well. So there's a number of things that you need to look at doing. You know, there was a question about where do I go to find a suitable Microsoft reseller. This is not that conversation. This is a conversation that is more about the entire adoption of a complete platform, of which the device supply constraints of the device side of things is simply one component. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's actually the end of our presentation. We didn't want to take up too much of your time. We understand that everybody's busy. Pete, I'm going to open up if there's any questions, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can then go and have that conversation.
So, Glenn, I think number one question well, firstly, Acer, Karen asks, where do they get to find those devices? How can they find them? I know we've got a poll, so maybe if people fill in the poll and just say you want Glenn and team to connect with you, they can share devices, but where else can they go to find devices?
Okay, so that's a phenomenal question. And Pete, you're going to have to cut me short if I start rambling a little bit.
You got 30 seconds.
There's two models that most schools go for. They either go and they look at buying the devices through working with a partner like an Acer, and we will work with a reseller of your choice. So reach out to us in the poll. If you decide that you want to go to a BYOD model, which stands for bring your own device, or as we heard last week, bring your own disaster, because it sometimes becomes quite disastrous when we let everybody there. We would strongly recommend that if you're in the education portal and you're in the education sector, guys, stick to devices that are manufactured and made for education, because they need to last longer than what you would buy from your local retailer. And that is a specialized device. Yes, they're slightly more expensive, but if you look at the cost of that device over the lifespan, where you would be replacing a device after 2 years that you bought from an open retailer, here you would have to buy a device that device would last between 4 to 5 years if you buy a proper made for education device. My push to everybody is reach out in the poll. Acer will make contact with you and we will begin the conversations with you. If you want to engage with Microsoft around Windows 11 SE and see if you are ready to adopt Windows 11 SE, then reach out. We will facilitate that conversation too. Acer is here to support education. We don't deal directly with schools. We do deal with resellers, but we will assist you in that process and help you along the way. We have education resellers. So guys, thanks very much. Any other questions? Sorry.
No, I think Glenn, that's perfect. Also, just a shout out, if you're at Joburg School and you actually want to play with the devices, on Friday we have our in-person event at the Galleria, which is kind of Morningside Joburg. Pull in, the Acer team is going to have a full set of devices that you can go and play with. We actually have an Acer device on our table over here that we are using, and we absolutely love it. So please come pull in at Joburg. Glenn and the team will be there, or if you want to ping them on the poll, they will gladly help you. They can then connect you on the device side and on the reseller side. So Ben, last comment from you before we bring on our last set of speakers for the day.
Guys, we know that this transformation is tough. We know that these decisions are going to decide which direction you're going to go in. And I think that there's a whole bunch of people out there to support you. Please reach out to us. if you don't come right in the polls or whatever, reach out to us directly through the switchboard. We're open to have these conversations. We are here to assist. And again, you know, how can we help you? I think is probably the mantra that we want to close off with.
Cool. Glenn, thank you. You've been amazing. We'll see you in Joburg on Friday. We asked a question. Well, we've got a competition on. Senior Chef does all the spices and fundraising for school, but they've got a whole set of stuff. And we had a couple of people enter, and the first one that responded was, and I'm going to have to give it because it was, as he spoke, as he mentioned it, the slide came up talking about his year. So Malachi Mans, you have just won yourself that gift pack from them, so that's absolutely amazing. But thanks for the other people. We've got some more prizes. You'll see I put my shoe up front, so this is actually a branded veldskoen, which is very she's from the team.
They're brand new.
They're fresh, otherwise I wouldn't have done it, but they're always fresh, the veldskoen. So if you want to win a branded pair with your own brand or school logo on, check out our social media, follow, and you can go in on that. But we're talking too much because Eric is on stage. So Eric has been on our stage before. He's the director of IT, specifically infrastructure at Roedean School. Eric, welcome on stage. It's great to have you here.
Good morning, Pete and Ash. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. All right. I always get in trouble when I say comments like this, but you save the best for last. All of ours have been great. But Eric, we're really excited to hear a little bit more about the technology that you are actually using. As someone that's kind of in the trenches as such at the school, what is the tech that you're using? Why have you chosen it? Would love for you just to share. And then at the end, we're going to invite one of your partners from Parrot, who's helped your school, just to come on stage. So, Eric, the floor is yours.
Okay, cool. So our journey started a couple of years back where we decided to find the best teaching aids for the SA market. At that point, I was still convinced that we could just put a normal display panel in every classroom, give a touch device to the teachers, and there we go. My thoughts around that went, yeah, I'm going to push this through. I took it to the forum. The forum was not very happy, and we started an IT strategy session. Okay, this strategy session ran for a couple of months, and we finally decided to go with the interactive LED boards. We had the finance team with us, we had IT and some of our HODs to decide what's the best to go. I then started with all the different brands. I had so many brands that POC'd and showrooms that I went and visit. And then Paul from Parrot invited me to come and have a look at their Tissen showroom. So I thought, yet another showroom. I rocked up in a strange part of Joburg, got out, and when I walked in, the difference was these people understood what teaching was all about. They understood the technical side of things and understood the journey that we took with Microsoft. They could answer all my questions, and I decided, okay, I'll arrange a demo with some of our staff. Barrett then told us, okay, right, they can accommodate quite a bit of our staff. So I had 2 sets of staff going through to their premises, their showroom, and they could play with the visualizers, the interactive LED boards. And then, okay, so the teachers were very happy with what they saw, and then the price negotiation started. And I was pleasantly surprised with the way that what we thought was going to be a very expensive exercise came down drastically. So we started testing some of the projectors and the LED boards. We put them in place. And the problem with the projectors is because we're a big school, the classrooms are big, a lot of windows in the classrooms, you can't see that much. I then sat back, had a look at your return on investment. If you buy a projector versus an LED board, you're going to get 10 years out of it. Lamp, you're going to replace the lamps on the projectors quite often. So we then decided, okay, right, we had another IT strategy session, and it was decided to replace all the current tech with LED boards from Parrot and their visualizers. Okay, it went to the board, and the board approved our thing, and we've got a 3-stage project. Stage 1 was done in 2021, and we're now doing stage 2 in April. And yeah, I can honestly recommend the Parrot range, their after-sales support and the installation teams are amazing. I've worked with plenty of people in system through my life, and yeah, their after-sales is currently top-notch. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. You caught us off guard at the end there. You can see Ashley wasn't even sitting down. Eric, we're going to invite the team from Parrot on now just to share. But you mentioned you chose them because they understood schools. Can I ask you a question? Why? What really made them stand out about schools? Because I think this is something that our schools need to understand. If you want to bring a partner on, it's just fantastic when they really understand a school. So what made you realize that this person knew schools?
So let's give you an example. I dropped a screen the other day that's on a stand. It was our fault, okay? And I phoned Paul and I said to him, listen, yeah, this just happened. Within 2 hours, they had another screen there, took the other one in for repairs. They're after sales, they understand that we need to, if the device is not there, you can't carry on with teaching. Teachers plan their teaching. Another example is I was looking for a visualizer that can link into a microscope. Okay, and I handed it over to them. I'm like, have you guys got something? And within 3 months, they came back and they're like, test this one. I had a look at it, it didn't work the way that we wanted. 3 months later, we've got the device and we're purchasing some of them now for live to use. So the way that they treat you and go that extra mile, that's where I see great value in them.
That's cool.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, I give you permission.
Thanks. Eric, I'm thinking that I've seen so much. I was at Parrot's showrooms the other day, and what is your favorite Parrot product? What has been most impressive that you think the
Best
schools
tech.
love to play with?
That video wall. I want 2 of them. Have you seen the video wall? Why didn't they take you to the video wall? Okay. Do yourself a favor, go check the video wall.
Cool. All right. Well, the good news is we've already given away a headset from Parrot. You'll also note at the moment we are using a mic here, which was Paul listened to our sessions and he's like, guys, your sound is terrible. I'm sending you something better. So he hooked up some sound. But what they are also doing is they are giving away a visualizer. So if you want to stand a chance to win a Parrot Econo Visualizer, request a free demonstration for any of our smart educational offerings and gain entry. There's a link there. Don't click on it now. It will take you off the session, but maybe also if it's right with Paul, we're going to put a poll up where you can ask the team from Parrot to contact you. So if you also want to do that, I'm sure the guys from Parrot can also use that as an entry to win that. If you're willing to get a demo. So please do that, enter that poll, visit their stand. I'm going to jump in now and just ask a question for Paul. Paul, it really sounds like, especially from Eric, so this is coming straight from the school side, that you understand schools. And I think this is a good entry question, what are the trends you see happening now in technology? And how can Parrot support those trends?
Well, firstly, good morning, Pete, and Ashley, and everybody there. Thank you very much. Yes, I think it's a combination, as you saw during this morning's session, it's a combination of hardware devices as well as infrastructure and software solutions that bundle into it. And the biggest trend right now is going digital. If you just want to put it all under an umbrella, it used to be a luxury before COVID. COVID made it a necessity, and now you can see the big drive and all of the different aspects that go around that. So as Parrot Products, we sincerely do our best to try and stay up to date, but above everything else, understand all the variety or requirements required, regardless of whether it's got to do with the specific hardware we provide. So we are predominantly a hardware vendor. So our 2 go-to products at this stage. It might not be the ultra premium video walls that Eric spoke about. That is one of our offerings, but definitely a combination of the visualizers, the graphics tablets, and then in the classroom, large format displays, which is the touch screens. Fundamentally, one of our priorities around that is to always ensure plug and play compatibility, at the very least with Windows ecosystem. We saw a lot of that happening today. Fortunately, unfortunately, depending on which side of the fence you are, they're not the only ones. And we obviously try and approach compatibility with other operating or OS providers as well. We feel that's the key. We are a third-party brand, third-party supplier with a variety of different products. But I think the key is to always ensure compatibility and reliance with the OS provider. That's the one thing that doesn't necessarily go away. You know, a small company like Microsoft, they might not just disappear tomorrow. So the key is to align with that. That is the base, and then add value to that. And then understanding each organization, every school's got their own way of thinking. Each teacher got their own way of doing. And the core is to try and understand that and adopt your product to align and add value to them. There's no blanket approach for anybody. And I think that's what's key about us. That's why it's free demonstrations. That's why we're quite clear and transparent that we don't sell to schools. We don't. It's not our business model. But we do support, and we do spend a lot of time face-to-face with them to understand their requirements.
So, Paul, I know we popped a poll that says, what would you like Paul from Parrot to send you more information? What I want to do is actually, same poll, but if you would like a free demonstration from Paul and the Parrot team, just click on that poll. Even though the question's wrong, Paul can reach out and then actually set up a free demo. But it sounds like what they are offering is really cool to be able to come in and actually say, this, play with it, try it, test it. Paul, maybe just one question I've got, like it sounds like education is a key area for you with what you're doing with Roedean and what I know you're doing with other schools. I was speaking to Kevin, one of the other IT managers, and he was testing your boards and doing stuff. Why the passion? Why the focus on education?
Sure, it might sound corny, but you know, kids are our future. So whether you like it or not, whether you're in it for profit or not, which we are, of course, we're all about profit, just so you know. But the key is, you know, you have to invest. You have to invest in kids, and if part of your business is aligned to add value in those areas, then I think it's got a lot of merit for you to not just invest your time, money, and expertise, but also your heart. Again, sounds corny, but if you do believe in your offering, and I do believe there is value we add at a variety of different levels within education, we do have an impact on what the future could look like. And it starts right there. It also transcends into business. So if you gear up your pupils, if you gear up your teachers, then businesses can excel, and of course it could potentially give us all a brighter future. So I think it is all about the future, and that's the right place to start, is at the base.
Brilliant. Paul, I'm going to ask you one last question, but before we do that, I'm just going to mention we're going to be giving away a purple ZA teacher pack, party pack. So just stay on for after Paul, because I see Lindsay is writing something in the comments, so we're going to do that. But Paul, maybe just final comment. Just what's one comment you'd like to leave with the schools?
I think it is to use an opportunity to open up a dialogue with a partner like us, not a vendor or supplier, and explain, take the time to explain what struggles and what vision you've got. Give us the opportunity to assess and find a possible solution, because a product catalog is not going to give you that. Dialogue can. So open that up to us and give us that opportunity to see if we can't help you with your requirements.
Brilliant. So once again, please pop onto the poll or pop onto the exhibitor booth. Just reach out to them and ask them. Paul, if I remember, you're going to be in Joburg as well this coming Friday, or your team will be there. So also, if you want to come meet with them in person, please do that. But I think what Paul is saying is reach out to him, connect with them, rather than just looking at a catalog and trying to make sense of it. They are experts and they can help you. And what I love is I know offhand multiple schools that they are helping and multiple schools that are happy with the support and expertise they're giving. So Paul, thank you for joining us on stage. We really appreciate it. We love our stuff, with the headsets, everything. So thank you so much.
He in cases updates us with things. Hey guys, it looks like you need, but no, he's a great partner of ours, and yeah, it's always appreciated to have your very positive, smiley face on stage. We look forward to seeing you on Friday, and yeah.
Brilliant. And Paul, just imagine this was one of those interactive board thingy-mabobs that Eric was talking about.
Those video walls, like our next upgrade.
All right. Well, thank you so much. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is us coming to the end of the show, but we love giving away things. So we've got one other prize that we would like to give. So Purple ZA can support your school, and they've got a party pack. I don't have a clue what a party pack includes, but I know Lindsay Wesner generally brings life and energy wherever she goes. So I'm going to ask a simple question because they can help you with their PD, so teacher personal development in schools. If your school needs personal development, just say yes in the chat bar, and
does every school not need personal
development? Yes, is what coming through.
What school's recruiting those teachers?
All right.
Amazing.
So, thank you. So I saw a couple of yeses. Oh, they're still coming through. So I'm going to sadly have to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo because there's no other way.
Point on the screen thing. While Pete does that, what I do want to mention is that there's a lot of exhibitors in the exhibitor kind of arena booths within the app and on your web browser. And so those are amazing companies. They're all companies that I say this so often, but they're innovative, they're credible, they've been vetted by us heavily to know that they can service your schools exceptionally well. So there's one encouragement as a passport kind of competition. If you go to I think a percentage 18 or
visit 18 companies only. So choose the ones you want. You can go to more, you can go to all of them.
You got to go in, have a look at their profile, like them, and leave a comment, and then Hoover automatically puts you into that passport competition to win. Are we keeping it a surprise? What are they winning this year?
So I think we can share. We've got 100,000 Rand coding, robotics, installation, support,
program curriculum for a year for your school.
So valued 100,000. That's from Resolute. We've also got visualizers. We've got a pile of other prizes.
This was not prize giving. We still have prize giving tomorrow. But go through all those exhibitors. It's not just an exercise to win a prize, but really there's some such valuable stuff in those expo booths. So we want to encourage you to make use of that. Otherwise,
I went somewhere like that. And Robin Hill, you are the winner of the party pack from Purple ZA.
And parties never learn. So I think it's got 5 licenses to Purple ZA's PD development, online, gamified. It sounds very exciting and very fun. I know the teachers that do use it are all spokespeople for Purple ZA. Yeah. They love it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is us today. I think my two biggest takeaways, and I think Angela mentioned one of them, was depending on where you're at the school, but getting the whole school involved with the innovation. And I know we've spoken a lot about tech innovation, and innovation is way broader than that. It's on the cars, the security, the buses, way broader than that. But I'd love to say, like, COVID has forced, I think, a lot of schools into very uncomfortable areas for the last 2 years. And I think you schools have been amazing with what you've coped with. It's been phenomenal. And I think I would love to say, like, the COVID forced us to embrace a whole pile of new stuff. Don't give up, keep going. There's like Literacy Pro on the reading side, such a simple tool, but so amazing to support your teachers. So go and explore these things. I think there's exhibitor booths, they're discussion topics, so you can jump on and actually go write and ask questions and build engagement. On top of that, if you're Joburg based, we had our Cape Town event last Friday. So if you are Joburg based and you want to come to our in-person events, please go to schoolscape.co.za/premier. I think
our team can post it in there.
Yeah, we'll post it in there. Dan's going to post the link.
Register for free. We'd love to see you in person. For those that can make it in Joburg. And yeah, otherwise, that's us for a wrap. We'll see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow. And some of you, if you can, some of you I know signed up for the afternoon session. We've got some phenomenal teachers. So this afternoon is a lot of teachers sharing. So please join us. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. And if you missed anything because of load shedding, as soon as the session is finished, we've recorded it and we'll put it back in the agenda so that you can watch it. And that is us. Thank you.
Bye.
And this is always the awkward moment when it doesn't end. So
we always have things to do. We have a dance today.
We'll do a dance. Still awkward.